Well, as you can see, I'm not brave enough to pronounce your last name. If you can pronounce it for me.
Yeah, it has a bit of an unfamiliar letter in it, but it's Fjortoft. Able to play against Celtic. I've been able to play against Rangers at Ibrox. And play against Defoe. He scored a hat-trick then, but we won't talk about that too much. And American soccer, which we'll call in this case, is growing tremendously. And I think you can see the overall package around the MLS now is very exciting. You know, the resources in place, the stadiums, the players, everything is becoming bigger.
You talk about academies, we've talked about universities, development programs. Do you think North America, United States, is going to be able to become a powerful league in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question. Sorry, I'm just charging here, so in case I, go dead on you here. It's very unprofessional of me not to do this before.
Don't worry. We like these kind of things on El Corner.
Sorry. It's difficult to say, you know, because the European football tradition stands so strong, you know, and the relationship we have to the leagues and to the Champions League and whatnot. And, you know, the American DNA or sports DNA is constituted of American football, basketball, and baseball. And like everything, when you have to change a culture, it takes time. But you can see with the recent and pretty tremendous growth of the MLS and American soccer that it is possible. Like an example is Atlanta United, who has 60,000 or 50,000 on average on their games. There's created this incredible soccer culture there, and it's been able to merge hip hop, music, fashion, whatnot, with the game. And I think that's a way to go by it in America. You know, the American franchise or the MLS is constantly expanding. There's talks about merging with the Mexican League. There's talk about maybe going more to a Champions League system, a CONCACAF Champions League system, more similar to the European one. So when you have also players' fascination with America, you know, people are fascinated with America one way or another. And if, you know, money is there, there's more interest, and the infrastructure is improved, you know, there's no reason why you see players maybe wanting to go there. But having said that, for the very best players to maybe go in their prime to America, I think that will who's to say it's impossible, but it will definitely take some time because you want to make, how do you want to, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? You know, or do you want to play for the best clubs? And the best clubs are now in Europe. And maybe that changes. Who knows? But as of right now, it will take time, investment, and interest. You know, in America stuff, because soccer has, you know, other sports to challenge as well. In Europe or the rest of the world, soccer is football is the biggest sport in the world. And America is yet to be so. So we'll see what happens. But I think there's definitely potential for America at least to be even bigger. If not the same size of the other big European leagues, who's to say? But at least it will be pretty big, I imagine.
Don't you think the format of the competition with the playoffs at the end of the season, well, it's like an off-season? Do you think that makes it like strange for the European fans?
Yeah, I think absolutely. It's different for us, you know, and who's to say? Maybe you welcome change in this case. And I think, you know, it is something a bit American about it because you're borrowing from other leagues and the playoff system. And then you go through an incredible regular season and then you get a bye, like a pass in the first round, but then you can go eliminated in the second round. So it seems a bit unfair, right? But then again, I think the Americans love this culture for, you know, the playoff system and anyone can win and that kind of unpredictability. So it's hard to say, but at the same time, people have also said, oh, but soccer is a low-scoring game. It's not like basketball. It's not like football with a lot of points. But that's changing too. So maybe structures. I think definitely that, you know, MLS started with having those dribble shootouts instead of penalty shootouts in the beginning, but they changed that. So who's to say? You know, you always have to reinvent yourself because you can't stay in the same lanes. But who's to say? But you know, people enjoy it. But of course, if you have a great regular season, you are rewarded. But the main one that, you know, you're given a trophy, LAFC won it last year, but then they went out in the playoffs. So they won a trophy, but it's not the main one. So, you know, it adds excitement. But for a club that's done so well throughout the whole season, not to stand with the main trophy, obviously, is a bit bittersweet.
Mm-hmm. Do you think, now I want to talk about you, because you have gone through North American football and New Zealander football, or Kiwi football, you like to call it Kiwi.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think those kind of experiences, because they are weird experiences, how do you think they have allowed to develop your game?
I think massively, because I think one thing, and what I've said earlier, is I always seek to go out of my comfort zone, and that has made me more confident in being able to handle adversity, to be able to handle what is different. And I constantly seek that challenge, and I love that challenge. And part of what's driven me in my life, and thankfully football has been able to be part of that ride, and I've been able to use football to travel around the world, is to experience these new things. And, New Zealand, I have no idea what the fuck, sorry my language, I'm going into. It's New Zealand. I think it's a small little island, right by Australia. And then I call that place home for 7 months, and I have some incredible people there. And then I go to Scotland, and so I lived in 7 countries. And, I always loved that challenge. And I think, it develops you as a player, but more so as a character. And the mental bit, in terms of knowing and having the confidence to try something new and going to play other countries. It's almost as if I'm too comfortable, I'm like, well, I want to get out of here, and I want to try something new, because that's part of what drives me. And so I think more so the character, more so the experiences and the references you gain, and to be able to able to meet people, So with that, you've got an incredible network of friends. So it's more life enhancing, and it develops me as a person. But by me developing as a person, I also believe I develop as a player. And because you're being thrown into these new situations, I come to college and I go there, and it's totally new again, because then I'm playing against a totally different kind of player, a totally different type of system. It's back and forth, back and forth. Yeah. You're learning from that too. So it's always something new to adapt to. And then you're learning as much as a player, different cultures. I love that. So, that's something, I think has helped me tremendously.
Man, your career is crazy. It's a roller coaster.
I figured, this is what I thought. I thought, okay, unfortunately, I'm not good enough to play for Arsenal, my club. So how do I make my career as exciting, but in a different way? And who's to say it's exciting? But for me, it was at least a different way to go. And that's why, and I don't mean to sound cocky like this, but I don't want to play in Norway. I played youth football in Norway, but I wouldn't want to go. You never say never, but I don't think I have as much willingness to go back to Norway and play, because for me, it wouldn't be as motivating or inspiring, because I would know what I came back to. And then I'd rather do something else, something new. So who's to say what happened? But that's part of what's going through my head, so to speak.
And what's next for Markus? Because we know your father. Mm-hmm. I'm not brave enough this time again to pronounce your father's name. Sorry.
Jan. Just call him Jan Fjortoft. That was sort of.
Jan.
Yeah.
Well, Premier League fans will remember him from he played for 4 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Swindon Town, the city where you were born.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's next for you? You think the Premier League? You aim to play in the Premier League?
That would be pretty tough, I believe. But you always have to put yourself lofty goals, And who's to say, it depends. Like Premier League, I don't think so. But I've always wanted to lead a life that I look back on and I'm proud of. And what will make me most proud? And that depends. For me, the next step, I'm one of those that can say, like, listen, I don't want to play anymore, so I'm not going to play, because I can do other stuff. But I love football to death. So it's, but it's one of those where I have to have an opportunity that motivates me. And there has to be the opportunity, has to be the motivation. And if you're able to find those two, then you can go on to something else. Hamilton's an incredible opportunity, and I'm so motivated by being able to take on that challenge. And it goes up and down like it does any season, but I've had some incredible opportunities, and it motivates me to be even better. And then it's always about taking the next step. And then I say, okay, I can play for Hamilton. Okay, now I can play well for them. Okay, what's next? What's next? You always seek up what's next. So I don't think all too much about, I want to play there. I want to play there. But I'm thinking, if I can improve myself, then who's to say what I cannot do next? But I'm not as focused on the outcome, but more as, it's a cliche, but I'm more focused on the process itself and saying, okay, how can I improve? How can I go ahead with this?
Well, you have mentioned one English team, and I have heard Arsenal is looking for defenders. So maybe
I know they've looking for defender for 10 years now. You know, so I don't know if I will be the solution to their problem, but you know, that is damn sure. We definitely need a defender.
And how's that? How you became an Arsenal fan?
You know, I was 5 years old, 6 years old, and I supported all the top 4 teams in England at the time. Not one City, before City had the money. And it was Chelsea, Liverpool, United, and Arsenal. I was 5 years old, 6 years old. My dad said, okay, you need to make a choice here. I said, what do you mean? He said, you can't support all 4 teams. I said, oh, okay. I said, what do you think I should support? He says, well, I think you should support Arsenal because in Norway, there are so many Liverpool fans. It's actually absurd. I think the second largest fan base of Liverpool supporters is in Norway, obviously England being the first. United, everyone supports. It was like they're good at the time. And then Chelsea, and then Arsenal. And Arsenal had the flair, they had the swag, and I loved that. And I loved Thierry Henry. I think he just was the coolest player. He was so good. And so I chose them at a good time. So it was really good for me up until I was like 11 years old. And then from 11 to like 21, it was just misery because you just went down. So we finally won the FA Cup there in 2015, I believe. Oh, I was so happy, like so happy. So yeah, that's how it ended up. So I guess it must be good to be a Liverpool fan now.
Well, you can come and join us. We'll be glad.
You know I can't do that. You know I can't.
Yeah, it's late. Well, this is an off-topic question, but do you reckon Thierry Henry is one of the greatest, if not the greatest?
I think he's the greatest. He's in the Premier League. In the Arsenal, people say, "Oh, what about Ronaldo?" But Ronaldo wasn't there as long, and so that is what was it? And I think it's a scandal that he didn't win the Ballon d'Or that one year. But he was consistently in the top 10 in the Ballon d'Or for like 5 seasons straight. There was a period there from like 2002 to 2007, whatnot, or 3 seasons. He was just unstoppable. And so, yeah, I believe he is one of the greatest to have played because he had everything. He assisted, he scored, he had the swag, he had the attitude. And he's now actually coaching in the MLS for the Montreal Impact.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Arsenal was a hell of a team. They were a bit unlucky when they lost the Champions League final in 2006.
Yeah, I know. And got Lehmann sent off, and then Henrik Larsson, the old Celtic great, came in and changed the game. And Belletti scored. The right back scored the winner, I think. And I was so upset. I said everyone but Belletti, but that wasn't to be.
That was unlucky. And well, we talk about your career. We've talked about the Premier League, if you want to go there. And what about the national team? What about Norway?
You know, Norway is a great national team, and I'll say, like, you know, seems very out of reach right now. But you know, you don't play unless you have goals. So, like I said, if you progress and you can establish yourself, what not? There's weirder things and crazier things that happened in football. So it's hard to say, but I do enjoy very much following the national team. It's got a great generation of players coming up, a lot younger than me even. So it's exciting to see. It was a bummer that the pandemic hit because Norway was about to play Serbia in the Nations League, and I think, you know, having to see Norway in a championship again would be incredible. But right now, you know, you have another centre back who's in Scotland. Christopher Ayer, who plays for Celtic. He's one of the leading talents and players there. And you got Ødegaard, and you got Holland, and Sander Berg at Sheffield United. So there's a lot of exciting stuff going on.
Well, obviously they have to beat Serbia and then Scotland or Israel.
Yeah, we'll beat Scotland. We'll beat Scotland. Serbia is a difficult one.
That will be special for you if they face Scotland.
Yeah, I know. That would be very special. I would love to see that happen. I think it would be at we'll see now, but it would have been if Norway would have won and Scotland would have been in Norway, I think. So yeah, that would have been special, but I think Norway would have beat them because they have a better team.
And do you think this young group of talents that Norway have right now, I know it's gonna sound crazy, but they could tie what Denmark did in 1992?
Oh yeah, that's tough. That's very tough. But you see, like some of the players that they have out there. You know, Holland is one of the biggest, if not the greatest, talent in European football now. Ødegaard, well, you know about Ødegaard as a Real Madrid fan yourself, coming in very young, and then now 21, which is a totally natural progression. And people are, oh, what's happening with him? And now being one of the leading players for a very good Real Sociedad team. And then you have other players there. So you're starting to get a very solid group of players. But obviously it's tough to compete against the very, very best. But I would like to see Norway establishing themselves a bit more than they have, because it's been pretty disappointing over the last few years.
And now you have mentioned as well Martin Odegaard. Well, we are here in Spain, we're impressed. We knew about what he did in Netherlands, but wow, it's crazy what he's doing right now.
Yeah, he's crazy because he's so good, because he was dominating the Norwegian league when he was 15. It's like it was crazy, and it wasn't like he was bigger than anyone else, everything, but his technique, his football IQ is incredible. So he's able to see some of the passes he hits in La Liga as well. It's like, wow, like incredible. And so he's very un-Norwegian in that sense. He's a very Spanish kind of player. So I think he would fit very much in the La Liga. So, you know, he's only 21, and he still has the best years ahead of him. And he's a very humble guy too, which is good about Norwegians. They're pretty humble, hardworking. And so, yeah, it will be very exciting to see.
And now Luka Modric is supposed to leave. How do you think a player like Martin?
Yeah, that's what they say, don't they? That if Luka Modric leaves, they call him back from the loan. But we'll see. That's Luka Modric. He won the Ballon d'Or last year or 2 years ago. So that's a tough shoe to fill. And maybe it's a bit too much pressure to put on a kid, but maybe he can benefit from playing every week for Real Sociedad, and then he can come back and play for Real Madrid, because they're in need. You know, those players have been there for a while, and after some time, they're going to be forced to get rid of them because they're getting older and they need a new generation. So, you know, it would be very cool if Ødegaard could be a part of that.
How do you pronounce the last name?
Ødegaard.
Oh, we call him Odegaard. Like
Odegaard, yeah, but Odegaard works. Odegaard works. But it's got, I think, he's got 2 A's in his name, and that constitutes O in Norwegian. And
the first O has like an...
Yeah, that's which one is in my letter, and that's pronounced So that's 3 extra alphabets in the Norwegian letter. It's it's a A, which is A and E connected, and then O. So don't ask why.
Advanced Norwegian lessons.
Yeah, come back for more Norwegian lessons.
And well, to end this interview, I think it has been a pleasure for me. But I want you to talk to me about, because you have a similar project. We have a podcast and a YouTube channel, and you are hosting a podcast. What is
we are podcast buddies. It's called BroPod. It's just, it's just a cool name. And it's with me and my roommate and a good friend of mine and a teammate who I play with, Hamilton, Kieran McKenna. And we host it and we talk to people that have done things differently, that have succeeded in doing things differently, that have succeeded because of following their own path. And I'm always fascinated by that. I've talked about my own path and people that are brave enough to do things a bit differently. And we're now on our 11th episode, and we're able to talk to them about what's going through their head, their career path. We talk to a fair amount of football players and just get an insight, get a feel of how it was for them coming up and what their life philosophy was about. So it's been great fun. We've had some players with great experience in the Scottish League, in La Liga, in Bundesliga. And to get an insight into that, I think is great, to listen to other people and see and listen to the journey that they've had.
Wow, it sounds great. And you are one of those journeys, strange journeys, and you follow your own path, and you are now.
Yeah, exactly. So it's something to do. Football player we have a lot of hours in the day. We train, as much as we can. But there are also hours in which we, you want to fulfill other projects, and whether you like it or not, there will be a life after football. So it's a good way to get to know people and get to do something different and figure out maybe, is this something we want to continue with? And so I haven't quite come to your level yet in terms of creating a YouTube channel and having a good follower base. But it's great to see, you guys are a good example of creating something and doing something that you like, and and allowing other people to go on the journey with you. So all respect to you guys.
Wow, crazy coming from you. It sounds great. Your podcast sounds great. I don't know if I'm going to be able to understand everything you say in the podcast.
It could be part of your English lesson.
I will give it a try. Yeah.
I think you've done very, very well so far. So I talk fast, so I think you've done pretty well in understanding me.
Well, it's been a pleasure for me, man.
No, likewise. It's always fun to follow you, and don't hesitate to reach out again. Maybe you can go on another cup run with Hamilton.
Oh, let's see. Bueno, pues hasta aquí la entrevista con Markus. La verdad que ya se lo hemos comentado a él. Ha sido un placer para nosotros tremendo tenerla aquí. Lo mismo, bueno, volvemos a tirar de él para traer más contenido al canal. Ha sido un placer tremendo. Así que nada, esperemos que os haya gustado, que le dejéis un like, que le deis la suscripción y que os paséis por el canal, que hay contenido muy interesante. Y nos vemos en el próximo vídeo.
Hasta luego, my friends.
Adiós.
Adiós.